Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you. And today we're going to be taking a look at some of the new Kingston Fury memory. Now I'm filming this on the 15th of April and I believe that these are going to be getting launched in the UK stores at least next week, so after the Easter bank holiday weekend. Now generally when it comes to like hardware in your rigs, or pretty much anything with the computer industry really, giving us options of kind of aesthetics generally means that you end up paying more money. And by that I mean the lower the prices get, generally the less amount of colour options and stuff that you might get. Now the Kingston Fury, it's going to be coming in 1333, 1600 and 1866 speeds. Now as far as the speeds are concerned, 1333 I would say it's kind of a redundant speed now. I don't think personally anyone should be buying memory that slow. I think that we should all actually start at 1600 and that should be our base. But anyway, but for a 1600 4GB kit, which is one stick, you're looking around the £28 to £30 mark. For an 8GB kit like this, which is two 4GB kits, you're looking around the £50 mark. And then it does get slightly more expensive if you want a 16GB kit, which is two 8GB sticks. So you're cramming a lot more memory chips onto one module. That then goes up to £100. But to give you kind of an idea about price, for an 8GB kit, another branded white 8GB kit, the cheapest I've been able to find it in the UK has been £66. So there's a £16 difference, which is a hell of a lot really, when the performance difference will be, I very much doubt you better tell the difference. But anyway, what I want to do, because I've only shown you the white and the red kits, because these are my favourite, but I do want to show you all of the colours. So I'm going to stop the camera and then I'm going to bring you back for a look. Okay then peeps, so we have four colour options. We've obviously got the black there, which is going to go with the majority of rigs. Red and blue, which is obviously great because it's kind of either end of the spectrum really when you think about it. Red, blue, black, white, absolutely perfect. When you start going into yellows and greens and stuff, you get to a niche market, but there's a module really, I would say, for everyone. Now, they've got a black PCB. I should move these all out of the way really so that we can see better. They've got a black PCB and the heatsink is a relatively plain design. I'm trying to kind of flick it around in the light so that you can see better. The Fury, the HyperX, well no, the Fury and the HyperX is like a white print on top of the heatsink, but the HyperX, if I bring it up so you can see, is raised and it's a machined metal, as it has been with a lot of the others. I'm trying to find the point where my light's going to catch it the best. But anyway, it's raised, it's textured, and it is, like I said, it's a machined aluminium. But like I said, it's got a black PCB. It's all very, very understated, and I really like it. I'll show you the white as well. Now the white, my camera may struggle with, so I may have to move it around a fair bit. But there's not that many white memory sticks about, and the other brand that I can think of, I'm pretty sure they stop at 1600 megahertz. But you can get these in 1866. So I would personally say options really for anyone wanting to build a rig with these, you should be looking at 1600 or 1866. And pretty much every rig is going to be able to get 1866 nowadays, because things have moved on quite considerably. And you should pretty much be able to get them in and get them running really easily as well. Don't forget, you will have XMP profiles that you'll be able to use, but if you want to set your memory up manually, I'll put a link underneath, or I'll make it pop up in the video, because we've made a video guide before on how to get in your BIOS, learn your BIOS, and set your memory speed, your timings, and your voltages up manually. And I don't see why there's any reason why people should be leaving them at stock. And the other thing is, if you just fit any memory stick, not just the Kingston Fury, they will just default run at 999, 24, 1333 megahertz. So that guide's pretty handy. So maybe you should want to go and take a look and see if you've actually got your memory set up correctly. If you open CPU Z and it says it's running at 16666, it's running at 1333 megahertz, 66 times 2. So yeah, so that guide could be really good for you. But what I want to do now is, because we can hold a memory stick in our hands and turn it around and have a look at it so much that it's just going to get boring. I think that these memory sticks really come into their own when they're paired up with another colour. So for argument's sake, the black and red together, or I'm trying to do it with one hand, black and red together, or for argument's sake, like the blue and white together. So I've got a couple of motherboards here, and we're going to take a look at the memory in the motherboards. Okay, so I know before people start saying anything, my camera does annihilate reds, but we will be moving on to a new one very shortly. What I've got here is the Gigabyte Z87 UD4H, and it's the first of the Gigabyte boards that I've ever seen, or there has ever been actually, with red on. But what we've got is the HyperX in with the red and black mix. Now, I think you'll have to admit that that design looks like they were made to go together. The Gigabyte board, it did work like this with another memory brand, but there seems to be a significant amount more colour with the Furies. And I do like the fact that it's full length on the modules as well. So you do get a nice big flash of red. That's why I've made the red on the outside. So you do get to see a bit more of it. Obviously you can rotate it round, it wouldn't make any difference. But the black is obviously the more understated kind of colour there. But if we were to change something quickly, we could make it really pop. Right then, so just by changing those black modules for white, you've now then, as far as I'm concerned, turned the memory from being rather understated to something that's going to really want to grab your attention in your rig. That red and white together looks the absolute gonads. I love it, like properly love it as well. And the good thing about this is that the price isn't expensive for memory really. Obviously you can get cheaper stuff, but for a 1600 megahertz 8GB kit, to have these kind of colour options is brilliant. So for those of you out there that haven't got a huge budget, you can still actually end up designing a rig that can look a lot more expensive. And that's why I've personally I decided to show you all the colours. It's because, again, normally you'd have to pay a lot of money to get really nice aesthetics, but this way you can still stay on a relatively tight budget, but still have, you know, something that's going to play a really big part or a big feature of your system. But anyway, so that's that. I think it's now time for us to have a look at the blue. Okay then peeps, so another Gigabyte board. This one is the D3H, but they do the UD3 that has these blue accents on as well. Now it all kind of, again, ties in together because of the raised Gigabyte logo is machined just like the Fury. A lot of the white text and everything, and the blue bits, it just works. They just look brilliant on there. So we've got the black and the blue, again, quite understated. I know that, you know, 2 kits is technically going to be £100. So you could just have the blue in there if you wanted. Well, obviously you could just have the black if you were just going for a completely understated stealth look. But again, with a small, quick change, you can make that memory an eye-catching part of your system. And there we go. Putting the white in, it really brings that blue out. It's almost like the whites around your eyes and having blue pupils. By having really white eyes, it does really bring that blue out, and I properly like the way that the white does bring the red and the blue out on the motherboard. It also really, from my point of view, when the black was in there, it all kind of like gelled in together. But just by adding that white in, it does make, at least in my eyes anyway, does make this area, that's where I'm drawn to. It's like, wow, yeah, that looks nice. And you actually start to realise that there's a lot more blue on the board. So with careful choices like this, when you're building your system, again, just because you might not necessarily want to spend £150 on some 2400 megahertz plus memory, you can obviously get a lot of memory like this, because let's face it, that's 16 gigabytes that we've got there, which is going to be more than ample for any games and kind of rendering and stuff like that, unless you're getting, you know, you want silly amounts of memory. But you can make your memory modules play a much bigger role in the design or the aesthetics of your system, and that's why I've kind of tried to show you these all paired up and stuff. So don't forget, very well priced. The aesthetics are brilliant, and for me that's what these are all about. This is those price conscious or budget conscious gamers that don't necessarily want to just stick any old bits in their rig, but they want to choose their components wisely and still have them look the part as well. And I think these Furies really do that. One thing I will say is I hope this is a first step for Kingston, and by that I mean that the Fury kind of range with all the different colours will then mean in months to come that we may get different ranges coming from Kingston with faster speeds for those of us that might want to spend a few extra pounds on our rigs, but we still want all these colour options as well. So I do really hope that's where Kingston are heading. But for now, for those of you out there that either haven't got a lot of money, don't want to spend a lot on it, or don't think that, don't really, I don't need any more than 16 or 1866, I think these should be very high up on your list of possibles. But one thing I will say though is when you kind of get to, with all these colour options, do think about what you want in your rig first. So think about your motherboard, because it's going to look a bit silly if you've got blue memory and a red motherboard. So do your homework. Don't just go out and spend for the sake of it. Take a little bit of time and planning, and think about how you're going to tie your colours in together, and then you can end up with something that looks awesome. But for now at least, this is Tiny Tom Logan with the Kingston HyperX Fury memory modules with another video for you. Out.